The story behind GMOs. Why is everyone afraid of them? What kind of food did you eat as a kid? Was it healthy? Was your family one of those that only bought organic food from Trader Joe's? If so, you've probably heard that there were genetically modified foods that had their DNA changed and were terrible for you. It was with their best intentions that my parents told me that genetically modified organisms, or GMO, was a bad word. Let me tell you why they were wrong. GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, are the result of a scientific discovery. They are also a possible solution to the global food crisis. To gain a real understanding of the science behind genetically engineered crops, or GMOs, we must be able to tell the story about how changing the genetics of food products can impact the issues in the global food supply. In order to tell that story, I need to provide a foundation by explaining what these genetically modified crops really are. Then I can explain why they might actually help the world deal with the crisis surrounding feeding all people. The explanation that I read about GMOs is, when modern scientists create a genetically modified plant, the process begins by identifying a desired trait, resistance to insect or the ability to tolerate drought conditions, for example. In determining how to make a GMO with this desired trait, scientists must first look for those genes in nature by seeing other organisms, including other plants and microbes, which exhibit the trait they want to express in the genetically modified plant. The population of the Earth is ever increasing. Feeding the global population has reached a crisis point that is affected by lack of access to adequate food supplies. Drought, pest infestation, and cost are several factors affecting access to food worldwide. So what is the problem? There's just not enough food. It's as simple as that. Food production is affected by pest infestation and drought, which raises costs and limits access. We can see the impacts of climate change when we see an increase in something like droughts, but we don't always see the impacts that it has on feeding the people of the world. Wars over food are real, as people fight for scarce resources. As Josh Winkler mentions, the arrival of genetically engineered, drought-tolerant crops that can withstand longer and more intense droughts could have the potential to prevent future conflicts. Since their introduction, crops like pest-resistant corn and drought-resistant soybeans have been adopted worldwide. These crops have the potential to feed millions suffering from lack of access to food. GMOs have been used for years and they are making a difference. From research to testing and on to production and finally distribution. Like I mentioned at the beginning, some people fear the idea of GMOs. Monster crops that take over other crops, that GMOs will change human DNA, and that there are ulterior motives to the creation of GMOs. Years of research and testing shows that these products are not only safe, but beneficial to the food supply. It is important to inform people about the safety of GMO products so their use can be increased. According to a World Resources Institute report, genetic modification may be able to help accomplish these goals by developing more crop resiliency through the use of genetic engineering tools such as CRISPR, the report said. Increasing yields through better crop breeding, speeding up breeding cycles while reducing their number, and mapping crop DNA could also help, it said. Rather than fearing modifying food to adapt to a changing world, we need to educate people about the safety of these food sources that are only modified to survive and to be able to feed the world.